Can you hear me clearly, by the way?
We are recording now. What was the question?
I was just asking if you can hear me clearly.
I can hear you pretty good, yeah.
Amazing.
All right,
We are.
we are starting the 15th episode of the AdvisorTech Live podcast. My guest today is Jose Lopez or Lopes?
Lopes. Thank you
Lopes.
for asking.
Yeah. I should probably check people's names before I start podcasts, but
I I always struggle with names. Honestly, it's one of those things.
so I personally love the way the Diary of the CEO podcast starts. Why should somebody listen to us? Like, there's a zillion different things they could spend their attention, their time doing. Why in the world would they listen to us bozos?
Well, I would say for both of us specifically, I don't think there's anybody else in the RA space that does exactly what we do specifically. Yeah, for you, I've never met anybody that has as much in-depth knowledge of the entire tech stack and all the tools that exist out there. And then on my end, I don't know a single individual that works specifically with the RIA space that focuses on automations using like NAN and more specific engineering. Of course, there's a lot of, you know, RIA specific software out there that's AI first, AI driven, but nobody really building custom solutions. Other than I know BMO, he focuses on AI for he uses Zapier, but
Yeah, no, there's more than you think, but I appreciate the comments for sure. What um what do you feel like is the number one problem facing financial advisors?
number one problem facing financial advisors is their operations are in chaos. I believe that they have an extremely fragmented tech stack. And they're just, I was just talking to one of my clients a few days ago, and they were like, I have login fatigue, right? And I was thinking like, I wanted to have some sort of client portal for them to access all of their files, for them to see all the tasks that I have set up, and then I'm trying to prioritize for them. And they were like, "Yeah, I don't want to sign into another another tool." I was like, "I feel you, but this one integrates with Salesforce, so we can move all those tasks over to Salesforce." But I think just solving that one problem would be a massive offloading of, you know, just all of that. And I think part of it too is just decision fatigue and task switching, right? It's not so much that, you know, advisors have a million things to do. I mean, that is part of it. But I believe part of it is like just switching from one thing to the next. I speak with some advisors, they'll try to like plan out an entire day or 2 days, um, where they're just taking on meetings so that way they're time blocking their time really well and they're not really switching between like completing a project or trying to come up with a financial plan and then hopping on meeting and then switching. So they really just try to time block, which I think is the most effective way to go about it. But ideally, if there were like one software that could do it all, I think that would be the best situation possible. And I think I see a lot of the existing software out there trying to implement a lot of the features that kind of make them the all-in-one solution, but nobody's been able to do the entire thing because you have your financial planning tools, you have your CRM, and they're all their core focus is all in a different realm. So
Yeah, so there's a war on humans' attention. I mean, beyond just
absolutely,
financial advisors, there's just the amount of content trying to grab humans' attention. It's almost like attention is the currency of today. Um, the solution is stop watching stuff, stop reading stuff, focus,
focus is
buy
number
back your
one.
attention,
Yep.
stop wasting it on all kinds of things. But it's very hard to do because there are literally softwares and hardwares that are designed to steal our attention from us for our entire lives.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, So I like to think about it in like four buckets. There's marketing, sales, operations, and finance, and you can add like finance and HR. Do you think operations is a bigger problem for advisors than getting new clients?
I believe it depends on the advisor. I think earlier stage advisors, of course, prospecting is the number one problem that they face,
Yeah,
and that's its own problem. But I think the more mature advisors that have practices, I would say above 100 million in assets under management, or at least generating about a million in revenue uh, annually. That's when I think I was reading a Kitsy's article. They said about 100 clients is where they start feeling that bottleneck. Um, and once if you're able to streamline your processes at that point, then things become a little bit easier for you to scale, right? Because that's the end goal, right? Once you hit that $100 million mark, or you've reached 100 clients, you want to take on another 100 clients, but you can't do
yeah,
that if you're just one or two advisors and you're struggling, you know?
yeah. I mean, so like, I don't know the exact numbers, but like 70 to 90% of advisors never even make it. So we talk about a shortage in the
Well,
industry. I was talking to someone recently, and they're like, "How is it that there's so many advisors that can't get clients, and yet we also have this huge advisor shortage? Like, this just doesn't make sense."
it
Uh,
really doesn't. It really doesn't. I do hope that we get more advisors that are able to succeed, and part of my goal is to help them succeed, right? That's part of it. And I think
yeah,
part of the reason why they can't succeed is maybe clients are churning and they're not getting the experience that they would like. Maybe it's an inconsistent experience. Um, there's a lot of different reasons, but
yeah, no, for sure. I think just simplifying the space. A lot of
mhm,
jokes made about the Kids map. There's 600 companies. It's overwhelming, and truly, no advisor has time to actually demo them to the point where they can figure out which one is the best for them. And I think that's
mhm,
why there's a huge amount of consultants in the space around tech and operations because advisors, it's very difficult to figure out what's good and what's not good, especially now that there's like a bunch of tools coming out every month. Um, and you want to use the latest and greatest tech, but you have no idea which tech's going to last. So then you tend
mhm.
towards the older companies that are most likely going to last, but they also are the ones with the worst technology. So you're it's a
Exactly.
trade-off between what's going to last and what's the best. And I think that's the problem I'm trying to solve with my books and my writing is identifying the companies that are the best, but then secondly, helping them succeed so that they do last. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was taking a look at your tech stack and how it compares to your 2025 list.
yeah,
And what I've noticed there are a lot of changes. Some
sure.
pretty good changes. Some of them are I don't remember if there's too many consistencies, but it made me think like with all these new software that continuously come out, advisors are going to have to update their tech stack regularly to make sure that they have the best software possible, right? But
Potentially.
how do you balance that where you're like, okay, how do I get to a point where I have a tech stack that I can keep and it will continue to do what I need it to do, but at the same time I want to make sure that I have, the most customized tech stack for my business model for what I'm
Yeah.
trying to build. So I thought that
So
was
those are the two big problems that I've identified: the marketing problem, the prospecting problem, and the operations tech stack problem. Those are both huge pain points. Is there
mhm.
one that you're more interested in than the other?
Can you what were the two again?
Marketing, getting clients, and
Yeah.
operations, marketing and operations.
For me, I'm more so focused on the operation side of things.
Yeah,
I think the marketing is because my biggest focus is on AI, and maybe I can dive a little bit deeper into like what I focus on and how I've
okay.
gotten here. But um, because my work is more AI driven, do you know Robert F. Smith?
I don't. No.
Yeah, so he's richest black man in the U.S. Started as a chemical engineer, ended up going into private equity, worked at Goldman Sachs, and then built Vista Private Equity. And he focuses on finding SaaS enterprises that are primed for AI, right?
Okay.
And what he looks for are two things, right? Service-based companies that have dominion of data. So that's really what the RIA space is,
For
right?
sure.
We're service-based, and we have our own data. And essentially, if we're able to implement artificial intelligence in the right ways, we're able to, you know, make our, labor stack much more slim. So we don't need as many people to serve more clients, right? So we're
Right.
leveraging AI. And I think
At least that's the narrative. I'm not sure I actually believe it.
I believe it, but I don't think we're even close to getting there yet.
Right.
I think the way that we're positioned right now is it's kind of experimental. And 2025 was supposed to be the year of AI agents, which was kind of like you have all of these AI employees, and a lot of software have like implemented AI agents, but there it just feels cumbersome. It just feels like a lot of noise. A lot of it is overkill, um, and they're just overpromising. I think it's just an entirely overhyped space. But I do think in the long term, when LLMs become better decision makers, there will be grander possibilities, right? So let me think of an example. Um, if you get a service request from a client and they want to move money, right? I can imagine, you're let's say let's say it's a Saturday, a random Saturday, and your client's calling you. You're walking through the grocery store and you're trying to pick like tomatoes or whatever, and they're asking you to move this money. And just imagine for a second that you had an artificial intelligence that is able to listen in on your phone call. Of course, we'd have to consider like security and compliance, of course. But if they're able to listen into that and say, okay, we extract the name of the client, we extract the amount of money, or we extract the request type, and it's able to determine exactly which forms are needed to be filled out, where it needs to be sent, all the different contingencies that are needed to complete that task, right? If it's able to make those decisions correctly and accurately, let's say like 98% of the time, I think that will be a great use case because you're just on the phone with a client. As soon as the phone call ends, that becomes the trigger. It's able to identify all of that information and execute right away. And of course, we wanted to, send back some sort of confirmation and approval for the human to approve that request because we don't want to we don't want to mess around with moving money. But just an
Right.
example of something that would really help um, advisors in their day to day, so they don't have to do this stuff manually.
Yeah, so that's I think that's the dream, but I think there's actually like a middle step. The middle step
Mm.
is just use very good software so that, the human can execute that task in, 20, 30 seconds and move on with their day. And you don't even need to involve AI. I think that right now some of the tech is so bad that it's so painful to do anything that, you know, life just is terrible as a advisor or operations person. I think, but if you implement the latest and greatest technology that's not necessarily using AI for that kind of stuff yet, it's just simple stuff like UI and less clicks and just easy to do. Then that's already a huge leap forward, and then we can get to the AI actually executing some of those things eventually, maybe.
You make a great point. I think that makes me think of a lot of the work that I do. Honestly, I would say maybe like 80% of the automations, maybe 70 to 80% of the automations don't require AI.
Exactly. Yeah, I hear that all the
It definitely is overkill. Like everybody's talking about AI, like I need to
time. Right.
implement AI, but honestly, most advisors just really need automations, right? Which have existed before this AI boom,
Right.
right? But what I think makes AI kind of it takes them up a notch is there are certain aspects of those workflows or automations that require some sort of decision making or some sort of compiling or dissecting of information, especially when it comes to like email generation, just just any type of let's say with AI note takers, of course, dissecting all of that information and extracting information from that. I think that's where AI really comes in and is helpful. Um, and just managing that data and putting it into the right places, I think that's where the key lies, right? Instead of just over.
Looks like I lost you. Sorry about that.
I accidentally left.
Well, welcome back. Um, no worries. Yeah, no, I think I think AI is fantastically overhyped. Um, I,
Yeah,
I I think I'm going to prove that. I'm going to build my personal brand using as little AI as possible and like grow so much faster than a lot of people using AI. I think AI is
right.
actually a crutch. Like people are wasting so much time trying to figure out how to use AI when actually if they just like went out and had conversations with people and solved problems, they wouldn't even need AI. And I think the AI is kind of like there's just been so much like fear hype, like oh, it's everything's going to be amazing and fast, and you've got to keep up, and people are losing sleep, and AI founders look like they haven't slept in 6 months, and it's like
Yep.
no, actually, just like slow down and do good work and forget about AI. That's I'm not denying that AI will be in everything and already is in like most of the tech that I am recommending. I just mean I think the whole narrative around it is just out of control.
Yeah, one thing that I've been preaching a lot lately, and I noticed this in my work with RAs, is that they're so quick to jump to implementation of AI instead of just focusing on the core foundation of just having a process that works, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you can implement that AI layer, that intelligence layer, and have it gather information from you for you, almost like an intern that knows everything about your business, and you can just ask it questions immediately. But the only way it'll give you accurate and correct information is if the foundation that you've built has structured data that has some sort of standardization in data that has integrations across your entire tech stack so that they're all talking to each other and the data is all mapped to each other. So that way that AI is actually able to give you the right information. Otherwise, it's just going to hallucinate. And I think that's one of the biggest problems too. Is they try to implement AI on top of a really bad foundation, and they're getting a lot of bad answers. And they're like, "Why am I getting these bad answers?" It's because your data is bad,
Right.
right? Your foundation's not set. You don't have the workflows, the SOPs. I really think just having that foundation set will set you up for success so much more than AI. I think AI will just get you from like 80% to like 90%,
Right.
right?
Yeah, the SOPs thing is interesting because like I worked as a CRM consultant for Redtail and Wealthbox for a little while, and like you had to customize almost every aspect of the software in order to get it to fit your business model, basically. Like your statuses and categories. What's a client? What's not a client? What's a prospect? Like what are your segments? You have to build all those in.
Yep.
What's our annual review schedule? When was the last time we had a review? The
Yeah.
entire thing and the workflows, move monies, and all that. Like every part of it had to be custom built. Um, so basically, like with Redtail, Wealthbox, and Salesforce, it takes tens of thousands of dollars of consultants to actually get the software to even work properly.
Yeah.
And that's why I think those are terrible softwares. That's my hot take for today. Um, with the newer softwares, the segmentation's already built in. The review schedule is already built in. It's just like a
Mm,
thing you set up and say when do you want to meet with them next, and it's like automatic. The scheduling's already built in. The move money workflows are already designed and ready to fire off.
yep.
You don't have to build all these workflows from scratch. The um the prospecting is in the platform already, so you can say who your niche is and you can add them to a sequence, and like the CRMs coming out just in 2025 are like so much better than the previous ones. You can tell I'm kind of passionate about this.
Yeah.
Um, you don't have to spend tens of thousands.
I smell slant coming.
No, no, and of course not. Nothing to do with slant. Um, you don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars setting up your CRM. And I
Yeah,
think that will free up so much time, money, attention for advisors to go market. So I think advisors should be focused on two things: serving their current clients and getting future clients. But there's so much. I mean, Matt Jarvis calls it playing office, but there's
yeah,
a zillion things distracting them. The software is terrible. They're not doing any marketing correctly, and they're because they're so overwhelmed. They're not responding to client emails or phone calls, or they're just like it's just this perpetual state of like chaos. Um, where I'm
yeah,
like, cancel half your tech stack, actually use some good solutions,
yeah.
and start, figure out exactly who you want to go help and spend half your day reaching out to those people.
I would say I completely agree with you, but with a different perspective. I think earlier stage advisors, especially advisors up to 100 million, and maybe probably up to 500 million, I would say, in assets under management, having that out of the box solution like a slant or one of these CRMs that have all of these things built in is super helpful because they don't have to spend the time to figure out how to build it. They don't have to hire consulting firms to actually build these things out for them. But I think the larger firms, like the ones that use Salesforce, I'm not sure if it would make sense for them to leave a Salesforce. And I know you're not a fan of Salesforce, but
No, Salesforce
but
is awful.
but from my perspective, I had never used Salesforce until one of my newer clients that I had onboarded, and just doing my research and trying to figure out like how Salesforce is being used, why it's being used by some of the bigger firms. I think that customizability is extremely important, especially in the RIA space, the independent RIA space, where advisors really want a custom tailored process, something that something that they can own, and it's not just something that's straight out the box, and it's something that is very personal to them. I think that's where having something like a Salesforce and really building out those customizations would be helpful. But of course, like nobody wants to spend tens of thousands of dollars to build that out unless you've gotten to that stage of like $1 billion plus in AUM and you really want to build out those customizations. And then what's really important about that too is if you're able to build out those customized, objects and fields and data tables, then and if you structure it well and you standardize your data really well, then when you layer over an AI intelligence layer, now you have a really complete system because
Right.
the foundation is super tailored to you and it's super customized to your business model, your clients. But then at the same time, now you have this AI layer that's able to extract information. It's able to, you know, complete requests for you, the tool calling, all the extra stuff. But I definitely agree with you in terms of like for the earlier stage advisors, like that's why I really like Slant. I like some of these CRMs that are coming out and they're simplifying these things and they have these pre-built templates. I will also mention specifically for Salesforce, Quiver. I was really really impressed with what they've done because for maybe not $1 billion plus. Actually, no, I think it definitely $1 billion plus. They can definitely implement Quiver. As a matter of fact, I would actually recommend that. They use Salesforce, so you
No,
have that
man, billion
customizability.
dollar plus is slant. I'm talking to billion dollar firms that are leaving Wealthbox and going to slant. Um,
Well,
it's
yeah,
I think there's a billion is a huge number. That's I kind of did a little bit of math in an Excel spreadsheet. People talk about AUM a lot, but I think it's
yeah,
actually more helpful to talk about revenue. So like
revenue, yeah,
50 million in AUM is 500,000 in revenue at 1%. So we're talking about like 500,000. If an advisor has, 25 million, they can run a very nice lifestyle business, make 250,000 a year, spend, 10K, 20K on tech, um, and maybe hire a virtual assistant or something, and they can do
Mhm.
very well. I think that it's kind of this thing like, oh, you've got to get to 100 million, you've got to get to 500 million. It's like, no, you can make a ton of money just with a sub 100 million business. You can make more than most people.
Yeah,
Then 500 million is 5 million a year, and a billion is 10 million a year. It's
right.
like you can do a lot of things with 10 million a year. Um, and it's interesting seeing like I saw a $700 million firm
Mhm.
with 3 or 4 total staff. And then I saw, I've seen
Really?
$500 million firms with like 30 staff. So
Right.
there's you can run it hyper lean, and the advisors can make a lot more money, or you can run it, with a giant team and, still make great money. But it's just interesting to see all the different models.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my point was mostly about the level of customization because from what I've seen with Slant is I love their sequences. I love what they did with the workflows recently, how they released that. They do have their API now. I haven't checked what kind of endpoints they have there. Um, I don't necessarily know the extent of their integrations, but I think they still have some work to do with their integrations. But generally, I'm a huge fan of Slant. I was actually, considering like, would that be the optimal CRM? And maybe I think I still argue for earlier stage advisors, but yeah, I think there's a lot of advantages to working with Slant, and I think my one other the one other thing that I think about in terms of like AI and how they've integrated it inside of Slant, absolutely fantastic. But because advisors have such a fragmented tech stack, right? They want to be integrated. They want to their CRM as if they want to use their CRM as a hub, right? Then they're going to need to be able to pull all that information into Slant, right? Have the data fields that are able to support that, and then at the same time be able to layer AI over that data as well, which is where I don't think they're yet at. Maybe they will get there in the future. I'm not necessarily sure how robust their back end data structure looks like, but if
So there's
they're
like,
able to do that.
yeah, you can have like an integrated AI CRM, AI note taker, financial planning tool all in one, or you can continue with your fragmented stack and use, a jump of a Zox, a Cognicore to like bring all the data together. And I do think that there will be a path for the dedicated all in ones, and there will be a path for the AI overlays. There's just
Mm,
advisors run their businesses all different kinds of ways, and they prefer all different kinds of softwares. And there's a huge need for the overlays, and there's a huge need for the all in ones.
mhm,
Um, so that's but it was fascinating talking with Jump and Zox, is just that the way they're not at all threatened by CRMs adding their own AI note takers, and that was really surprising for me. I was like, when Wealthbox adds
mm.
its own AI note taker, isn't Jump going to be like terrified of that? And it's like, no, because Wealthbox's AI note taker will never be as good as Jump or Zox or some of the leading ones. Um,
Really? I'm not sure that's the case. I've heard a lot about I've seen a lot of advisors in forums and whatnot that have a lot of complaints about Jump, even though I know Zox and Jump have had incredible growth and they've done incredible things. And I think Jump is actually building a CRM, right? Am I right about that? Or
no,
was that
I've heard a ton of
was that a
complaints
secret?
about Jump too. Um, Jump just kind of led the way in integrations, and
Mm,
they raised the most money at the front end, and they used the money incredibly well. They
mhm.
were at every conference, they were speaking on every stage, they were running LinkedIn ads constantly.
Yeah,
They had boosts everywhere. So like they ran the advisor tech playbook almost perfectly, and they hyper scaled.
yeah.
I think I don't know that Jumps has the best technology. I think a couple of the other ones actually may have better technology. I'm not
Mhm,
making an official statement about that, but I think the reason I give them credibility is just they were leading the pack by a huge
Absolutely.
margin for a long time. Um, and they grew super rapidly. I mean, they only launched in the beginning of 2024, I believe. So
Mhm.
only 2 years old, and they're way past 20,000 advisors on the platform, I think, which is
Wow.
insane.
Insane, bro. I really like, when I look at their marketing strategy, I think they nailed it on the head. I don't really see other platforms being able to do what they've done.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk through the whole stack? I think it'd be worth at least talking through the categories and seeing what you like in each category.
Yeah, I was actually taking a look at the stack today, and seeing what I do and don't know of. And yeah, let's walk through it. I'm down.
So let's pretend an RIA is starting from scratch. Either they broke away from a broken dealer, or they're just going independent, or they're actually like out of college, got their CFP, and they want to build a firm from scratch.
Ah,
What
okay.
do they need first?
G Suite, of course.
G
That's
Suite.
that's the go-to, right? I mean, I would never use Outlook. I For my 9 to 5, I use Outlook, and it's not there's no it's not a seamless experience for me, right? With G Suite, they have the security, they have the integrations. Even from a developer standpoint, like, of course, a fresh out of college CFP is probably not going to, dive too deep into the developer space, but the option's there. I mean, who knows? Maybe there might be like an engineer or something.
Yeah.
But
I don't have a super strong opinion because a ton of advisors do use Microsoft. Microsoft and Google are fairly comparable. I do agree that Google's just easier to manage. The
mhm,
admin center and just managing it is a lot better. All right, so you've got email, you've got a calendar, you got
yeah,
document management.
yeah.
What do you need next?
Hmm.
Obviously, I put them in the exact order I think you need them, but
No, of course. What you would need next? I would say that's a good question. Probably a custodian. I mean, you can't really manage money if you don't have a custodian, right?
yeah, custodians are important. I think that it's possible to run an RIA without a custodian. Um, if you're not managing assets, if you're all subscription fees,
Ah, that's true.
which a lot of advisors now are all, it's all planning fees. They can, run it on Advice Pay or Stripe or School even, hopefully someday.
Mhm. That's
Um,
that's a good point. So what would you say? Maybe a financial planning tool?
yeah, so like for me, it's like what do they absolutely need to like prospect? They need I say phone texting next. Um,
Really?
so email, calendar, and then phone. Like I don't. This maybe is not obvious, but because of the company that I'm actively recommending, current client, I think that being able to text people like as soon
Mhm.
as you meet them is super important, and that creates a super personal connection when you can text. And I think
Mm.
a lot of advisors aren't even texting their clients, or they're like on some really antiquated texting software.
Yep.
Um, But if you build like a modern phone and text into like the very core of your business, so now you've got, you know, email, calendar, and a phone, way to call people and text people compliantly. Um, I'll just like rattle through the next. And then obviously you need like Zoom, you need like a scheduling tool, could be Calendly, could be Zoom. Um, and then from there,
Before you jump to that though, I
yeah,
do wanna say current client, I remember, I had seen that they won a competition. I don't know if it was them or Quiver that won a competition, but Quiver and them were some of the top 2 platforms. And then I was looking at current client and I saw their UI, super sleek, super simple, but honestly, I think it's one of the best out there. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to make that
no,
point.
I agree. Current client's epic. I mean, I use the phone
Yeah,
app daily now. Um, so when
really.
someone says call me, I just open up current client, type in their number, and call them. And then as soon as the call ends, it's like, do you want to leave a note about the call?
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to have AI. Actually, I think they do already. They'll have
Yep.
AI summaries of the call, like ready to go. and then the texting is cool because from your perspective, you're just texting in your normal texting app. From the advisor's
Mhm.
perspective, it's all in the current client experience. So
Right.
like it's all organized. Um,
I saw you put your number out there on LinkedIn.
I
I
did.
was
Yeah,
like,
only one
"Should I
person
call
took me
Joe?"
up on it. They
Really?
started texting.
Wow. So you didn't regret that.
I haven't yet. But truly, only one person started texting me. Um, it was Dr. Joshua Wilson. He sent me a picture of his dog. He's like, "What's up, man?" And I was like, "Who is this?"
Dr. Wilson. He's
um,
awesome.
so now you've got a way to meet with people. You've got a way to schedule appointments. You've got a way to communicate.
Right.
You need to do some marketing, right?
Of course.
So how does a new advisor do some marketing?
In my opinion, this is a Alex Hormozy based thought process. You pick one avenue of marketing and you focus on that and you just drill down as much as possible. And I think what you have, LinkedIn, Substack, YouTube, all great. In my opinion, LinkedIn is probably the best of the three. Kind of hard to say which is the best, but LinkedIn, all the professionals are there, right? So a lot of your clientele, lawyers, doctors, whatever it is, high net worth individuals, they're probably on LinkedIn. And what I love about LinkedIn is the majority of people that are on LinkedIn, they're not posting anything, right? So I think the status it's in the 90 something percent of individuals are not posting anything. So as long as you're posting consistently, I would say at least 3 times a week, which is what I do, just 3 times a week post, and you're providing actual valuable content, you're going to get some traction, right?
Yeah.
And personally, I don't focus on trying to gain any followers or anything like that, but I think just focusing on providing value, and if you get 500 views per post or impressions, or even up to 1,000 impressions, there's going to be a handful of individuals that see that that information is super valuable and they want to reach out. And so I think that's a massively important avenue for marketing. And then Substack, I hadn't heard about Substack until probably a month or two ago. Like just before you had mentioned it, I think there was a podcast. Was it James Pollard? I don't remember who it was. Um, Actually, no, it was a woman. I don't remember who she was, but she had mentioned that she had like an email list of 10,000 people, and then she brought them over to Substack and
Yeah.
just had massive growth in her marketing. It's like, what is Substack? But raving reviews, I think it's an amazing tool, especially if you love to write. Like, I know you've made some great articles. I read your article on Finney.
Yeah.
That was uh, an eye-opening article, by the way. Um, but I definitely think that's one particular avenue that you can definitely consider. I will consider it in the future. I'm just totally focused on LinkedIn at the moment. And
Oh,
then
that's cool.
YouTube, absolutely. I think I was watching a Jason Wink uh, interview, and he was talking about the top platforms for some of the advisors that are on Altruist and where they're getting a lot of traction. I think he had mentioned TikTok as one of them, which I'm not sure if I agree with, but who am I to say, right? But
Cocaine or crack cocaine for social media. That's what Mr. Beast just called it. So I think this is kind of part it was in my Finney article, The Golden Rule of Prospecting. Humans should
yeah,
not be scrolling short form video. Like I feel like I mean,
mhm.
everybody knows it's bad for them. They feel guilty after they do it. Like you can meet people there and try to provide helpful content, but like why even go there? I don't know. That's my opinion. I think it's better if you're going to do marketing to do it in ways that are good for humans as opposed to doing it in ways that are bad for humans, which is kind of why I came out so strongly against AI prospecting. Um, just because I think it's rude. It's rude to blast AI written content to thousands of email addresses.
I love though when you mentioned that. I was like, yeah, I feel that. It definitely is rude. But I also I don't want to go too deep into that. Actually, I do want to go deep into that, but maybe when we get there.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think so. I consider it building a personal brand. You've got to say something helpful, interesting, useful, nonconformist.
Yep.
You got to get attention. The best way to get attention is to either solve a problem like incredibly specifically, or just
Hmm.
say things that are bold and make you stand out.
Yeah.
Um, but you've got to know who. Like the niche part, I think is a one that really snags advisors up. It's like, well, I want to work with anybody that has money. It's like
Yeah.
you will if you work with everybody, you work with nobody. Um,
Exactly. I
so
will say it's specific to that niche point. Um, when I started in the AI automation space, I didn't know that I was going to end up in the RIA space, even though I had all that experience years ago with the RIA space. I was trying to figure out like, oh, I just want to work with any small business. But then, after doing a lot of research and speaking with a lot of individuals and my mentors, they were like, yeah, you got to niche down. And every time I thought I was niching down, I realized that the niche was not niche enough, right? You can always niche down more. And I find
right,
that the more that I niche down, even though it's just funny because my niche specifically, I work with advisory firms between, I would say, 50 million and 500 million AUM.
sure,
Honestly, it's more like 50 million to like 300 million. And I got a message yesterday from the CEO of a firm that's $1 billion firm, and I kindly rejected. Well, I didn't reject him. I kind of like pointed him in another direction, and I felt
interesting.
horrible. I was talking to my sister, and she was like, "What? You turned them down? Like, why?" And I was like, "They're outside of my niche." And it feels not great, but at the same time, it kind of does feel good because I know that if I'm focused on this particular niche, then I can really specialize on their specific tech stack because within that niche, they have a very specific tech stack, and it's, you know, typically, well, now with all the new CRMs coming out, I mean, it's kind of becoming a little more variable, but at least I understand their problems a lot more than $1 billion firm. I've never
Yeah,
worked with $1 billion firm, so they're kind of like out there. Eventually, I'll get there, but
yeah.
just
No,
not there.
that's very smart. I mean, honestly, most people don't are never that clear or that focused about their niche. So in my 2025 book, I said a niche was around 3,000 people. Like if you s- got your list of people down to 3,000 on LinkedIn search, like that was a really good start. Now, especially after the Kitz's research about firms focused on efficiency make half as much money as firms focused on value and depth of service,
Yep.
that was so eye-opening. Um, Now I'm like, make a list of 100 people, or for you, make a list of 100 companies, like literally find the exact companies you want to
Mm,
work with, and then spend hours prospecting each one individually. Like, get to
mm,
know them on all the socials, get to know their website, get to know the people, connect with them on LinkedIn, like start commenting on their content, and like literally work a list of 100 exact firms that you would be delighted to work with,
yeah,
and handwrite them cards, send them a book. Like,
I love that.
I mean, for even to take it even further, is like start a podcast with your niche and invite them on the podcast. That's what I'm doing pretty much.
That's actually, I'm gonna take a note on that. Send them a book. That's really good. No,
um
I definitely agree with that because at the end of the day, right, what we're trying to do when we're marketing is we want to make sure that our messages are tailored to the types of clients that we want to work with. And the best way to do that is to make sure that we're niched down so that when we do deliver that message, all of those clients that resonate with those messages, they can see, okay, it's almost like he's speaking directly to me because
yeah,
we actually are,
right,
you know?
actually speak directly to them.
Right.
And write them a card with your own meaty fingers.
Yep.
So I
I love
literally have
that.
a stack of 80 cards, and then I have a bunch of school stickers coming. I'm gonna literally write handwritten cards to people that I want to work with, and send them books
Yeah,
and stuff.
you're transitioning me from the digital to the handwritten world slowly, Joe. You're
That's the key.
you're getting
It's so important. Um, literally, like what all the AI prospecting tools are recommending. go as far to the opposite direction as humanly possible, like
I don't know about
door knocking. Like,
that.
find all the RAs in your city and, like, go knock on the door and, like, hand them some kind of flyer or something. That's
You know, I've
that's
actually done that.
I've done that too. Um, so I think the problem with business owners and people just looking for a job is they're in a fear mindset. They're like, who's
Yeah.
hiring? How can I possibly get the job? I don't even want this job. I don't like it. I don't love the company, but I desperately need money. And so it's all like
Mhm.
fear based, and um job postings get so many applications now. Like if there's 200 people and they pick one, like what, your chance of getting picked are just so low.
Right.
So I think actually figuring out who you want to work with, the exact companies, and then publicly saying on LinkedIn, like, here are the companies I would love to work for, and here's why I would love to work for them. I mean, I did that actually.
I remember
Um,
that post, yeah.
People loved it. Like, humans need to, not humans, but like, if you're looking for a job, like, um, be selective, I guess. Like, figure out who you want to work with. I think the something COVID has done, and then I think we're about to see like a surge in entrepreneurship, is just humans get to decide who they work for now. I mean, they have to have an expertise. They have to know how to do something. Um, but if you're really good at something, you can pick who you work for.
Yeah,
It's my
absolutely.
crazy idea.
No, not crazy at all, but I'm feeling that 100%. I think my next LinkedIn post is gonna be that. Like, these are the advisors that I wanna work with. Hit me
So
up.
we could talk about LinkedIn for a bit. I mean, you did a post promoting Libby's thing, and then you did a post, talking about me. That is exactly how I grew my following. I created
Mm,
posts making lists of other people and promoting them. And if you think about it, that's what all the top podcasts are doing. Every single podcast that comes on Joe Rogan, like, he's spending 3 hours promoting another human being. It's not selfish
yeah,
at all. It's completely giving. Um, and when you switch out of the mindset of what do I want, and when you switch the mindset of what does my prospect want,
oh my gosh, yes.
um, that's, I mean, it's just a complete shift, but it works so much better.
Absolutely. I really believe that the more value you put out into the world, as much value as you can put out, you should. Like, don't
Yeah,
hold back.
yeah,
And this was also another Alex Hormozy principle that I learned, and I realized that once I started just putting value out there, it doesn't matter, like, free consultation call, and I just tell them, like, "Hey, do 1, 2 steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll get there." And what I find is that you end up building trust and rapport, which I think is the most important currency. I'd rather work with somebody for free with, maybe 3 sessions and versus, getting paid for those 3 sessions,
yeah,
because when I work with them for free and I show them I can give them all this value, then number 1, they trust me. They're like, "Oh, man, he gave me super valuable information that I'm able to actually use and it works. I wanna tell all of my friends about it." Right?
yep.
And next thing you know, you have an influx of people that want to work with me. And of course, I can't work with all of them, so eventually I'm gonna have to charge. But um,
No, I mean, that's exactly what he
but
recommends. Let's pretend a listener listening right now doesn't know who Alex Hormozy is. Who is Alex Hormozy?
oh man, who is Alex Hormozy? He started off in consulting, and I think his dad wanted him to be a doctor or lawyer or some kind, and he was like, "You know what?
Something like
No,
that.
that's
Yeah.
not really what I wanted to do." And then he ended up opening his own gym, and his dad was like, "This is awful." But he ended up opening like 5 or 6 gyms, and at one point, I think he just got constrained, and he was trying to find a way to break out of that. And so he ended up meeting Russell Brunson, joining his program, which Russell Brunson is the marketing guru. I don't know
Yeah.
if
ClickFunnels dude, right?
people. Yep, yep, ClickFunnels guy. And essentially, he learned the the marketing strategies of Russell Brunson and changed the strategy from like just trying to open up more gyms to trying to teach gym owners how to grow their businesses.
Yeah,
And so he ended up,
I wanna pause on that for a minute. So what he was doing was
yeah,
flying to physical gym locations and then
yep,
actually working the front desk and selling gym memberships for, like, 30 days, and then he would split the revenue.
yeah,
Um, but then this one guy called him and was like, "Hey, can you come do this?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm too busy," or he couldn't for some reason. And the guy was like,
yeah,
"Well, can I just pay you for how you do it?" And he was
right,
like,
right.
"Sure, like 6K or 8K." I don't remember the exact number. And the guy was like, "Done." And he was like, "Whoa, I don't have to fly out there and sleep in a hotel for 30 days." And
Right,
then he realized the power of one to many. The power of one to many
yeah,
is you can solve problems for lots of people at the same time, and that's how you scale. Anytime you move away
yep,
from dollar per hour to dollar per value, and that's I think there's an enormous opportunity in the financial coaching, financial planning space, because it's all one to one right now. Like an
right.
advisor meets with one client at a time. I think there is some way to. I mean, I think Dave Ramsey's been doing it for a long time, but um, teach people how to, you know, all these concepts in a one to many format. Um, anyway, you can go on now. I just think the one to many thing is super important for people to understand.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy that you mentioned that because that is the strategy that Russell Brunson brings up, right? It's
Okay.
how can you deliver as much information to as many people as possible? And I think that's why school is one of the best platforms out there. When I saw school came
The
out,
best on earth.
yes, yes, I agree. I agree. I mean, it's just it has every single component. This is actually the next part of the tech stack, isn't it? Right? So
Well, like
you have
we're recording this on school. This is
right.
not Zoom. Everybody thinks this is
Right.
Zoom. No, we're literally recording video, audio.
Yep. No Zoom
As soon
needed.
as as soon as I hit the end button, it's gonna be right there in thing. I can create a post with it. I can download it and put it on YouTube. The
Yep.
speed the speed from content to YouTube is seconds. It's incredible. Okay, not
It
seconds. It takes a little while to download it, but
yep.
uh,
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, just being able to have a forum like platform where you have a classroom, you have a calendar where you can host events like this. Um, the integrations with Stripe. I mean, everything is just so seamless and
right.
everything it's made for engagement, right?
Yep.
It's and then you have the leaderboards where it kind of incentivizes people to engage. I mean, it's just I haven't seen anything like it. I mean, there's the circle, right? Is their main competitor, I would say. And I'm
Circle,
like,
Mighty Networks. If you look at their
yeah, it
web
works.
traffic, school is so much more web traffic than those companies have.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you made a post about that, right?
I
How
did.
how much how many times more? What was it like 5 or 6 times more?
Oh yeah, it was a lot. So sometimes when you compare URL traffic, sometimes like I actually sent that to the CEO of Mighty Networks, and she was like, "That's not actually the URL that we use for our communities." So they have like
Mhm.
one URL that's their website, and then sometimes they have another URL. So I'd have to find out what their community URL is and compare that one. But still, school is actually absolutely crushing it.
Yeah. Their whole marketing and prospecting methodology, I think, is unmatched.
It's
Absolutely.
it's incredibly simple. It's clean. It's they're so thoughtful about every single feature. It's incredible.
So would you say that's the next must need for the new advisor? They have
Okay, so
a lead gen for uh
yeah, you're starting a business. You know who your niche is. You're connecting with them on LinkedIn. You're writing content for them. You're writing
yeah,
video. You're doing videos for them. You started a podcast. Where do you want to collect all these people to nurture them? Like a community just makes an enormous amount of sense.
of course. Absolutely. Um and then you also have the CRM. I'm actually thinking about would it make sense to have all of your clients in a community, in your own community? I think
I
that would be
do.
really cool. I haven't seen any advisors. Maybe I'm just not not in the circles of advisors that are
So
doing this, but
I don't know that there are any advisors actively using a school community as their program. There are some like there are some like CFPs and stuff that have dropped their license and are running school communities, and just kind of being like para RIA. They're not giving investment advice per se, but
yeah.
they're not registered, but they're running it all on school. Um, but I don't know that any RIAs with just all the compliance issues are
Mm.
gonna be able to. At this point, I hope that school becomes a massive platform for the RIA industry, but we'll see.
What would be the compliance constraints for
Well, everything has to be archived. So
right?
every single post, every single comment would have to be archived.
When can you use the Greenboard API for
Potentially, yeah. So like I don't know that Greenboard directly has a way to archive school right now. I've written to them about it several times. Um,
oh, okay.
but that's so this is the cool thing about picking all the top companies and then promoting them like crazy and then like helping them make their companies better. Um, and like I did with Slant and Current Client, like introducing them and saying, I know you guys don't have user overlap yet, but you're where the puck is going. And so you need an integration prior to having user overlap. Because most software companies will only add an integration once they have enough clients asking for it. Um, so they have a ton of things they're working on. So they're not going to build an integration where that they don't have overlap yet. But basically, what I said is, you guys will have overlap. Let's get ahead of the puck and build this integration before the demand. And they did, and it's awesome.
Oh, that was you. You incentivizing? You told them that
I mean,
that's
I introduced them, yeah, and I
nice.
tried to make it happen.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what they end up because they're a newer platform, right? Didn't they start building? They built their
Yeah,
platform
I mean,
in
they built.
2025.
I love to say they built a better CRM than Wealthbox in the time that Wealthbox built an AI note taker. They built an entire platform with better features than Wealthbox in the same amount of time that Wealthbox built a very basic note taker.
Yeah, Wealthbox took forever. I will say their note taker is it's decent.
Yeah, I'm sure it
You
is.
can't
And
you can't store the video though, which I guess maybe it's not necessary, but
you
I
can't
find it
store it.
helpful. Yeah,
Um, so I mean, when I first came to the industry in 2018, the advisor was using Redtail. So Redtail was my first introduction. And it was cool. Like it was like a digital phone book or digital contact record, and I didn't really know any better. But then I found Wealthbox, and I was like, Wealthbox is so much cooler than Redtail.
yeah,
But the reality is, Wealthbox literally just copycatted all of Redtail's features, made tiny tweaks of improvements. And so when we were doing consulting, like firms would go from Wealthbox to Redtail, from Redtail to Wealthbox, and we were like, guys, it's not worth switching. They're identical. Um,
yeah,
and then and then just recently, when the AI note taker was inside of Slant, and then they add the prospecting tools, and then they add the workflow Kanban format like Hubly. Like I'm like, oh my goodness, this platform is so much better. It's a delight to use, which is something I've never said about Wealthbox or Redtail.
yeah. I will say if I were a new advisor and I'm starting from a clean slate, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't go with Wealthbox or Redtail. I'd probably stick with Slant. If it's
Yeah,
a little more expensive, but I think it makes up for it. It's not like incredibly more. It's like what 150 a month per user for
yeah. So
Slant.
here's the thing: it's not actually. It's actually way, way, way cheaper.
No way.
Yeah, so I mean, it has the features of the Finnies and the wealth feeds of the world.
Oh,
It
of course,
has
of
all
course.
that built in. So those
Okay,
are $100 to $500 a month. It has an AI note taker, which is 50 to 75 a month. It has a CRM, which is 50 to 75 a month. Um, it has all the sequencing. A lot of advisors are using a separate sequencing tool, like a Mailchimp or
right.
um, I don't know, a Close or some other CRM, so or HubSpot. So they're actually running two CRMs. All that is built in. The distinction between prospects and clients is built in. So you're literally getting like $700 or $800 worth of tech in $150. So I think the misconception that it's more expensive is actually it's actually way cheaper. Does that make
Well,
sense?
when you put it that way, absolutely. I think because of all the different features, yeah, it becomes the closest thing to an all-in-one CRM, I would say.
Right.
Cool.
Anyway, there will be other cool CRMs. I mean, Altitude by Bill Good Marketing looks very good. Um,
I haven't
and
heard
I
of it.
think
Altitude.
yeah, they're just launching right now, basically.
Mhm,
I mean, Jump, Finny, Zox, anybody, any of those could go and build a CRM. Like Slant built their CRM for $3 million. They did have a team like ready to go to build it, but
mhm.
Finny just got 17 million. They could build, you know, they could build a CRM as good as Slant if they wanted to.
Yeah, I feel like building a CRM isn't too complicated because at the end of the day, it's really just a database, right?
Everything I've heard is that it's actually incredibly complicated to build a CRM. But
Well, I would say the compliance aspect of it, right, has to be more more compliant. I think that's probably the hardest part,
there's
but
there's just a lot of moving parts. I'm not a programmer. I don't understand coding, but software is very difficult to build from everything I've heard.
yeah, I don't think it's that complicated. From I mean, when I look at it, right, there's there's just a lot of different fields, a lot of if I look at the underlying data that's there, it's just a bunch of data tables and you just have to have the right categories. Because at the end of the day, right, when you're pulling reports from a CRM, that's you're just extracting the back end data.
The CSVs. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I agree. It's I mean honestly, it's all about the UI.
right.
Because if you just wanted data tables, you could use Access or Excel or something.
Yeah, especially
It's
now with like AI engineering building
simply the
UI.
UI.
Yeah. Have you tried
Um,
Google AI Studio?
dude, I ain't touching AI. This stuff's terrible.
You can build an amazing CRM in like 5 minutes. Of
Why
course, it
why
wouldn't be
don't
fully functional, but
nobody's actually doing that though? If that was possible, Wealthbox would have built a brand new CRM by now.
maybe I can do one at the end of this podcast. I'll do I'll build a quick CRM and see how it comes out.
So what I've heard with vibe coding is that there's huge issues down the road because you
Oh yeah,
didn't actually write the code. You don't exactly know how it works. You can't vibe code because then you end up with a mess. Um,
yeah,
so I think AI, if you're truly an expert in your craft, let's say you're actually a fantastic writer and you use AI to supplement your the skill that you already have, I think that you can probably use it to amplify your writing. Same thing with coding. If you're already a very good programmer, I think you can use AI to program way faster, and I think companies are. Um, but just
uh,
vibe coding a bunch of stuff. Here, it's all about value. Like if it's easy to do, it has no value. Basically, that there's no moat, and anybody can do it. So the value is in actually building real enduring software that will stand the test of time. um and those school is doing that. um like you know how long it takes school to release a feature, like it
right,
takes months.
right, yeah,
Tiers took them a year maybe, with like crack engineers, like very expensive engineers working on it. It's not easy.
yeah. What I will say about vibe coding is that was a very overhyped um, thought process. So like people were just trying to vibe code video games, and I think the one shot is probably you're going from like 0 to maybe 60 or 70%. But then the rest of that 30% of getting it to production is the part where you really need the engineering expertise. But in the engineering community that I'm in, we don't like vibe coding. What we like is context engineering. And really the difference is when you're vibe coding, you're just talking to AI and you're saying, "Hey, build me this CRM and make it look nice and do this and that." Right. But when you're context engineering, you're creating a very comprehensive plan of exactly what you want to build. Of course, there is some engineering that you need to have in the back end. Like you have to understand, like, are you using Next.js? Are you using JavaScript? Do you want to use Python? Like, what are the components that you actually want to build into it? What are the features? How do you want them to interact with each other?
Right.
Right. And you have to be very, very, very specific. And the planning part of it is the most important part. So, like, when I think of vibe coding, there really isn't much planning. You're kind of just kind of like talking off the top of your head.
Yeah.
But if you're doing context engineering, you're spending probably like 60, 70% of your time just planning out exactly what you want to build. And then when you actually go to execute the code, you'll get to 85, 90% there. And I see, I'm not great at context engineering. I'm not an engineer. I don't have an engineering background. I've taken many coding courses and I've built really um, code. I've front end and back end. But the engineers that I've met and the things that I've seen them do with context engineering and just looking at their process, honestly, I think you can do a lot. And I think Slant, the engineers at Slant, they have some sort of context engineering process. They may not call it context engineering because I don't think that's kind of a universal term yet. Actually, not. It kind of has been in the engineering community, but I really believe that honestly, like we say, 2025 was supposed to be the year of AI agents. I say it was the year of agentic coding for those that
Okay.
have dived into the context engineering aspect of things. Um,
What is 2026 going to be all about?
oh,
I got some hot
oh.
takes. It's got nothing to do with AI.
Man, I don't know. I hope that 2026 will bring I hope that people will become more fluent with AI. In my opinion, I think currently people are just trying to use AI, but they don't really know how to construct what they're trying to put together. Like especially when you're talking to ChatGPT, a lot of people will say like, "Oh, it's hallucinating," or they'll create AI slop. But from my experience, if you learn how to put together a really constructive um, piece and send it out to AI, then you're able to get a really solid output. So I'm hoping in 2026, a lot of the masses will be able to more fluently use AI. But what are your thoughts? What's 2026?
I think the number one piece of technology we all have access to, and the single best investment we have is our brains. And I think
Mhm.
that any I'd say invest in your brain, like invest in reading, invest in writing, invest in coaches and mentors and communities. Any I would say every single question that you're thinking about going and asking AI, think if there's a human you could ask it to instead. Um, and
Mm.
this, I mean, I was actually using Chat GPT a lot up until a point. I asked it like about my AdvisorTech book business, and it gave me like seven different ideas about like products I could launch or services I could have. And I was like, I could also just go email Michael Kitces and ask him or Stephanie Bogan or like someone that is actually building a real human business and has had success. AI
Yeah,
has zero experience. AI has never done anything. It has no idea how to do anything. Um, Whereas if you talk to a human, they literally have an experience and they have wisdom and you can build a relationship, and you can live a much richer life than if you ask all your questions to a word calculator. That's my opinion.
Word calculator. I remember you had mentioned that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the problem with people using AI today is they just offload a lot of their thinking, their critical thinking. They're just like, oh, I'm going to be lazy about this and just ask ChatGPT for a bunch of ideas and pick one of those, right? Um, I personally think that AI is best used for deeper research, for using it almost like a knowledge base, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't retain all the information in your head. And of course, even if
Right.
you were to reach out to a Michael Kitces or whoever else, they don't have all the information in their head either, right?
Most
So
of it, but not all of it.
Of course. Um, and I think just the efficiency of it is, you're able to extract the information super quickly. So for me, especially when I was earlier on in my journey, building AI automations for RIAs, what I really wanted to fully comprehend was like, what does the RIA landscape look like, right? Like 144 trillion in AUM. That's something that I figured out very quickly just because I could ask AI. And that's not
Yeah.
something that I'd wanna, like, reach out, "Hey, Joe, like, how much in AUM does the
No,
entire
you're
the
that's true,
industry
but I
manage?"
think I just transitioned away from ChatGPT just back to Google. I just was like, let me just ask Google.
Mhm.
But what's fascinating, that post I did called Lies at Scale, when I asked Google what was a lie, none of the answers were correct. And then I asked ChatGPT was a lie, and basically every single answer was, what a lie was. And I was like, this is fascinating. Like Google's actually suppressing the definition to what a lie is. Um, and I think that that's a bit like conspiracy theorist, I realize, but if ChatGPT knows what a lie is and Google doesn't, like clearly there's some sketchy stuff going on there.
Well, what I will say is every AI is biased, right?
Yeah.
It only knows what has been fed to it and how it's been trained. So that's
Right.
definitely something that we always have to consider. It's something that it's the reason why I always use multiple different tools. I never rely on one. Like I'll use ChatGPT, Anthropic, Gemini. Gemini and Anthropic are both owned by Google, so I have to consider that as well. There's Grok, but also, there's DeepSeek. I mean, there's tons of them, right? I think really just diversifying and trying to find like multiple different answers and then kind of combining them is probably the best way to make use of it. But at the
He-
end of the day, like, yeah, use
Here's what I'll
humans.
do. I'll give you my current, well, I'll text you on current client. And anytime
Okay.
you're about to ask something to ChatGPT, just text me instead, and I'll answer. And we'll see if it. We'll see which is more helpful.
You're about
Not
to get a
not
lot of you're gonna get a lot of text from me, Joe. 'Cause
not that it's
I have a lot of questions.
no. And you can be. I do. I mean, obviously, there's things that you just ask Google. Like, there's tons of things
Right.
you can just ask Google. You don't want to bother people, but I think it's more
Of
like
course.
the deeper questions, like you know the valuable questions,
Yeah.
the ones that take actual thought and experience and mean something. I think humans are far better resources than AI on those questions.
Yeah, I think what you just said about experience, I think that's the main driver. That's the key to human, interaction. Like AI doesn't have experience. It's never run a business. It's never actually executed these things. It's just extracting knowledge from others that have done these things.
Right.
So you can't replicate that.
And
Absolutely.
you won't stand out either. Like running a business is entirely about standing out, doing something differently. And AI
One
is literally the average. AI is the average of all knowledge, of all ways of doing things. So it's literally, if you want to not stand out, if you want to be lame, use AI. If you want to stand out, be unique.
I guess then the real question is, which parts of your business do you want to stand out and which parts do you don't care?
Great.
Right.
No, that's a great question. Anything marketing, prospecting, problem solving, anything communication related with actual people, those I think should all stay human. Um,
Mhm.
Operations stuff, move monies, opening accounts, like anything that AI can do and be trustworthy about doing. or even just moving data between systems automatically. Like all that, I think is fine for AI to do.
Well, I will say about the marketing piece, I know we've talked about this a lot, so I don't wanna dive too deep, but
Go
I
for it.
personally use AI. I mean, I'm an AI implementation specialist, like, I should try to use AI wherever I
Maybe.
can. Um, but I think the way that I use AI in my marketing, especially on my LinkedIn posts, is different because I've almost trained my AI to write like me. And the way that I go about my iteration process with AI, it's very customizable. Like we had that side conversation where I was telling you, like my first few posts were taking me 3 to 5 hours per post, which is
Yeah.
absolutely crazy because I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be exactly what I would want the output to be, right? But the reason why I went through that process was because I wanted to figure out how I can go from an original thought, right? Every single one of my posts, the the basic principle of the post, it was an original thought. And then how do I communicate that to AI so it can write exactly how I would write it in the right format, in the right structure, so that way I can just flow. So for me, the reason why AI is so helpful is because it allows me to flow. And I don't type to AI. I actually use speech to text dictation,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is super helpful because I can just talk for 3 or 5 minutes and it just kind of just allow my thoughts to just go out of my head, and then I can tell it, "Hey, like, these are the most important parts." Like that post about you and Libby, those are
Sure.
all AI generated, I'll be
Okay.
honest.
Yeah.
But what you'll notice is all of the original thoughts, like, if you look at my original speech to text dictation, it has all of the components, and it's not necessarily one to one, but it's pretty close. The only thing that AI was able to do was it was able to extract all of those points, remove any redundancies, because I did repeat a few things a few times. And then also just create a really solid hook that will capture people's attention, and then kind of structure the rest of the post, so it's not like moving from left to right, and it's more cohesive. So
Here's
that's
here's
that's
here's my counter argument.
okay.
Communicating is literally one of the most important skills you will ever have as a human and as a business owner.
Yeah.
So every time you outsource that, you're actually slowing down your ability to write better, to communicate better. If you pound out content that you personally are writing, you will become a better writer, communicator, speaker so much faster than if you keep outsourcing it to AI to smooth over the edges. And also you won't be able to develop your voice. Like most people that are starting to market, they don't know how they want to come across. They don't know how all the nuances of their unique points of view affect the way the words come out. Like you've got to use your brain to put words in order. You've got to select words individually. That
Mm,
ability is the most important skill as a communicator. And I think that personally, I think if you actually want to become an amazing communicator, yeah, I wouldn't touch AI. Like I would learn to write as a human with your brain because otherwise your brain will be permanently atrophied. Like if you actually want your brain to become an amazing resource for you, actually develop your brain. Don't outsource it. That's my opinion. I'm not necessarily right, but the more authentic and human and weird your writing is, the less smoothed over by AI, the more it will resonate with people. Like the piece I wrote for Finney yesterday is the best piece of content I've ever written based on the response. Like
mm,
literally like 50 people reached out to me on multiple different platforms and said this was amazing. I loved it.
wow, incredible.
Um, I've never had that happen before, never. And like first of all, many conversations with humans went into the ideas that were there. And I went to Walmart and bought a bunch of candy bars and I bought a piece of gold to take the picture. Like a whole lot of human work went into making an amazing piece of content. Um, and if you use AI, you will get way less likes. You'll get way less impact. Period. Like That's my opinion.
I disagree with that. I
Yeah,
I
that's fine.
find I find that if you use AI for like AI slop and all of the posts look identical to what other people are posting and there's no authenticity in it, there's no original thought, then yeah, you're not gonna get anywhere. But I think the way I use it, honestly, I'm not sure. Like when you see my post, does it is it obvious that I use AI or is it not obvious? Sometimes.
Um, they're thoughtful, but they're stale. There's
Hmm,
you've got to develop a personality. You've got to be edgy. You've got to be like, you're very polite. You're very, thoughtful and appreciative and stuff. But
that's just me, Joe.
maybe. But how do I even know? Because I don't know how you write. Because I don't. I've never seen anything you actually wrote.
Okay,
Um.
let's do a quick test. Next week, I won't use AI for any of my posts,
Okay.
and I wanna get your opinion and see
Yeah.
how it feels compared to other posts.
And it's not about perfection. It's about volume. I mean,
It is.
Alex Hormozy talks about this a lot. If you want to get better at LinkedIn posting, post 5 times a day. Like that, I kind of do that. It's not necessarily the best idea, but every single time you have an idea, just go slop it into a post and hit send. Um, you will get better so much faster than if you think, for hours about each thing and try to craft it perfectly. And that's, but you've got to have. I read a ton. So like I have a constant flow of enormous amount of words written by the best writers in the world
Of
that
course.
I'm pumping into my brain. So that's how I'm developing my writing. Um, hopefully, more than laboriously thinking about everything. But
No, absolutely. I will say just what you had mentioned about, being able to practice writing and being able to honestly like just the creative thinking, being able to, you gotta read books, you have to gather all this information so that you're able to come up with these original thoughts, you're able to construct arguments in your mind. I think those are really important, but I also believe that efficiency is super important. Like I'm a huge efficiency person. Of course, like you have to be a maximalist. You can't always be like a perfectionist or hyper efficient individual. But I think especially with advisors that they don't have a lot of time, and I know they struggle to spend a lot of time every day marketing. I think a lot of them do it differently than you're very unique in your posts because
no, for
like
sure,
you
I
said, you're super
people have told me
authentic.
that they're like,
Mhm.
Joe, you're 1 in 100. Like people don't write like you. People don't think like you. Like you can't expect advisors to do that. You even have certain personality traits that most advisors don't have.
Yeah.
Um, my point. I wrote an article called "Efficiency is the Enemy." If you focus on efficiency, you will make half as much money as if you focus on value. So
Value.
and I think that's what so many advisors are getting wrong. They're spending 80% of the time on things they shouldn't even be doing, period. Not things they should be doing more efficiently, things they just should stop doing entirely. Um, and if they do that, if they get rid of half their tech stack, and if they stop doing all the things they waste their time on and just spend 4 hours a day working at getting better at communicating, they will be the thought leaders of today. Like they will have more clients than they know what to do with. Um, but I think I need to realize that not everybody's like that. Like that you can't build for the 1%. You got to build for the 80%. So maybe I'm just wrong on that. I don't know.
Well, let's see. I'll be the guinea pig for next week.
Or just do some that you wrote completely yourself and then do some that you mix AI in and then say, Joe, can you pick them out?
I like that. I like that. All right, let's do that. We're gonna do a test, and we'll talk about it next week.
Do you want to so we have about 30 minutes left. Do you want to talk more like personal stuff like clarity and focus and morning routines and stuff like that? Would that be interesting?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What did you have in mind specifically?
So like even myself over the past probably couple months, have been trying all different things, and you were like, "Joe, I think you're doing too many things. I think you should stop doing this." And you were right.
Yeah.
Like I love that. I think that people I do that to other people a lot, and I think sometimes you kind of offend people, but if you're right, they know you're right, and if they're humble enough to take feedback, they will change, and I changed. So I think that where did you learn, I guess, the ability to focus?
Um, it actually came from a mentor. He told me that I was not focused. That's literally how it started. Because I was the type of person that I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I have that, like, everything that's new and shiny, I always want to, like, gravitate to it, right? And
Sure.
I was the type of person, like, I've always worked, like, multiple jobs at a time. I worked while I was in school. I'm constantly just doing stuff, right? And I've never really, like, narrowed down my focus on 1 or 2 things or really prioritized. Um, and when my mentor told me, like, "You just need to focus," I was like, "Okay." I just kept that in the back of my head, and Alex Hormozy has said that as well. He's a big proponent on, focusing, as you guys can tell. I love Alex
Yeah.
Hormozy and his principles, but, um, I really started to try to focus last year when I built, a financial coaching community, actually on school, the
Yeah.
100K Net Worth Club, and part of that was kind of like a mental exercise, but also part of it was, just trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to route my attention to. So I put all of my attention into this community, and I started marketing, and then next thing I knew, there were just a lot of people just reaching out to me, asking me like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And I ended up bringing on about 50 people or so, and I did this 5-day challenge with them. Um, and it was an incredible experience. Like, I just got a message last week. One of them got rid of like $30,000 of student loan debt, and I was like,
Wow. It's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it felt great. And it was kind of the first time where I felt like all of my efforts of really just locking in on something that wasn't necessarily required of me. It just created something that, came into fruition, and, I was able to help people, and they were appreciative of it, and I felt like it was a success. And so ever since then, I've really just tried to be aware of where my attention is at all times. And just trying to find more ways to say no to more things. And
Yeah.
the more aware I am of that, I start to realize how many more distractions start to come my way on a daily basis. And I start to say, okay, these are my priorities. These are the things that I want to focus on. One example too is I decided to complete a triathlon last year. And it was out of the blue. Like, one of my old friends, he had posted on LinkedIn that he had completed this triathlon. And I had thought of it for a long time. And I was at a point where I was like, I was trying to find something that I can build some confidence in myself, because, confidence wavers. And I believe that
Sure.
confidence comes with consistency. And um, for me, I said, okay, I'm going to decide to commit to this triathlon. It was like 2.5 months before the try. And I was like, okay, these are the things that I need to do to complete the triathlon. So I started to break it down. Okay, there's 3 different components, right? You have the swimming, the biking, and the running. So I'm gonna have to train for all 3. Okay, where am I at now? Where do I need to get to in order for me to complete this,
Yeah.
right? And I broke it down, right? So it was a half a mile swim, 11 miles biking, and 3.5 miles running. And I said, okay, I can only run maybe like 2 miles. I can't swim for shit. I just couldn't swim at all. And then for biking, I mean, I biked regularly, but I could probably only bike maybe 4 or 5 miles consecutively. So I said, okay, I'm about halfway through for each one of these. I'm gonna have to create a regimen that I build some consistency in my weekly schedule so that I'm able to, when I get to the end point in 2.5 months, then I'm able to complete all three with no problem, right? So for me, it was like, okay, I have to run 3.5 miles. Let me get to four. How do I get there? Okay, we start with two this week, and we go 2.2 miles, then 2.4, then 2.6. And I
Yeah.
just broke it down that way. And once you break those things down into little steps, it really allows me to just lock in and say, okay, these are the things that I have to do. I just have to execute them. And
Yeah.
that's where the focus comes down because during that time, there were a lot of other things that I could have been doing. I could have started a new business. AI was coming up, and just this. There was I had friends that were like, "Hey, let's start this gym program." And while all of these things are enticing, I realized I have to say no because I committed to this triathlon. I'm gonna get it done, and I
Right.
ended up getting it done. And it just gave me this huge confidence boost that, like, if you can focus and you can lock in, you can really succeed in whatever path that you want to take. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
What about
I
you?
agree.
What has been your experience with lacking focus, or like if there have been moments where you felt like you've focused and succeeded?
Yeah, I mean, I've shared openly that I have bipolar too, so that I have had many times during my life where I'm hyper productive and then depressed.
Mhm.
And when I'm hyper productive, I say yes to way too many things, and then I get overwhelmed or overspent or over, just over the whatever, and
Yeah.
then it usually leads to depression because I'm like, what the heck did I get myself into? Um, and so for me personally, there was an event that happened in November, and I was like, I have got to get my priorities straight, or
Mm,
I'm not gonna keep it together. So I basically I was listening to the Diary of the CEO podcast, and there was a guy came on. It was about like setting New Year's goals, and he's like, the four things that really matter to people are faith, family, fitness, and work that serves others. And
mm,
then Libby Gryway actually had this thing about the Warren Buffett to list thing. So it's like when you die, think about the 25 things you want to have accomplished. So you make a list of 25 things. He's like, all right, now pick the top five. You put the top five in one list. He's like, now the other 20, avoid at all costs. Those are the biggest distraction to the five that you want to actually accomplish. So then I was like, well, shoot, four of them are already taken because I've already got faith, family, fitness, and work that serves others.
right.
Um, so what's the so then I added one which was, let's see. Oh, friends.
Mhm,
Um then I was like, all right, faith, love God, fitness, love yourself, family, love your wife, kids, family, friends, and then fifth is work. And so like a huge part of my realization was I just put work way too high on my priorities for a long time.
mm,
Um because a lot of the bipolar led to like money shortages or loss of jobs and stuff. So, that kind of was like, this is always the most important thing. But every single morning, I have a field notes and I write down my five priorities and I have little check boxes for what I need to do in each priority. And I literally need that mental reset like every single day. Like if I miss that in the morning, I can get distracted doing all kinds of things throughout the day. Um, so I write down my five priorities. I have some books I'm reading like on a daily basis. So I'm reading good books. I'm making sure my priorities are straight, making sure I'm spending time chatting with my wife, spending time with my kids, and then work that serves others. And I've put like barriers on the work. Like, I don't work outside of these hours. It's very hard. I mean,
yeah.
I would work all the time every day if if I let it slide. But
Yeah,
that's not the life I'm trying to build, so, um,
absolutely. I love
that's
that.
how I'm staying focused.
I love that. When you were speaking, it actually made me think of how I prioritize too. I was doing this program a few months ago. Dr. Justin Sang, he's kind of like an academic. He's a medical doctor, and he was talking about how he became a doctor while also building a full-time business, and like he was doing a lot of things but became really successful, um and he was kind of teaching his philosophy. And one of his one of the parts of his program was, how do you focus on how do you prioritize well, right?
Yeah.
And I went through a 2-month phase where I started tracking my time daily
Yeah.
using Toggle,
Yeah.
and it was fascinating to see when I looked back, like, how I spent my time and how many distractions there were. I mean, I was tracking everything, like, even when I was going to the bathroom, like, it was, like, every single detail just to see, like, how how do I move in my day? And when I looked back at that report and I started to dissect the information, I was like, "Okay, how can I make it so that I'm not so distracted, I'm not, you know, going from one thing to the other, and I'm making sure that I'm getting the most important things done in the
Yeah.
day." And for me personally, the number one thing that I can do is I have up to three things generally that I'm working towards, right? So for me right now, it's I'm about to finish up a 6-month fitness program where I have a super strict dietary program that I'm following, but also
Cool.
6 days a week I'm going to the gym, and it's like his workouts are insane. But I have a coach for that. Um, and I also can't drink alcohol and,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So that's
Is it
one.
like 75 hard? Is it kind of like that or
It's similar to that, yeah.
yeah.
Um, and then the other part is, building out um, the RIA, building partnerships for my
Yeah.
RIA AI automations, right? So my goal is to get up to 5 partnerships by the end of this year.
Nice.
Um, but right now, my primary focus is getting the 2 clients that I have and getting them to the 7th phase, right? So I have a 7 phase framework. I don't know if it tells you about that.
I don't think so.
Um, yeah, so really quickly, the 7 phases are discovery, just building awareness. Number two is data standardization, making sure you have structured data. Three, six, system architecture, workflows, SOPs. Then we have data cleanup, is you're taking the first 3 phases and making sure that everything is actually clean. Five, integrations, making sure everything maps to each other. Six, automations. So not necessarily including AI, but then also phase seven is intelligence. So being able to layer over that intelligence layer. But essentially, my
And you
goal
you've
is,
got this all built out in in a course in school, right?
honestly, I should, right?
You should.
I don't, but
That's what we did at Simplicity Ops. I mean, she had a very structured process that we walked our AAs through. So we it was being delivered live, and then we decided to record the whole thing, and put it in a course format, and
okay.
saved an enormous amount of time.
I would
But yeah,
love to see that course, by the way.
yeah,
That would be great. Um, but yeah,
I don't
so that's
I don't have access to it anymore, but it was great.
I'll hit her up for sure. But yeah, so that's my second thing. And then yeah, so for me, right now, those are my two main priorities. But on a day-to-day basis, I just pick one needle mover. Like, what's the one needle mover that I can do today that will I'll consider today a success.
Yeah,
And essentially what I end up doing is I block out like deep flow, deep workflow
yeah,
blocks, and I just focus on that one thing and I make sure I get it done. And then the rest of the day, I just try to get, anything that's related to my main priorities generally. But then also anything else that comes up that's more urgent. And I use a Todoist to prioritize everything. So I keep everything out of my head and into a
sure.
system. And it's been, I mean, I feel so calm, relaxed, like just life just feels like it flows really well. And I don't feel like I'm constrained to my work. I'm not over anxious. If my sister hits me up and she wants to hang out on a Saturday, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's hang out. Like I have a structure and
Yeah,
I'm on top of things, so I don't have to worry about that.
you're slightly well, no, you're absolutely ahead of me because I do not have a structure for my chaos. But yeah,
We'll get you there.
We will. We will. Yeah. So at the bottom of every daily entry, I have a question: how can today be a great day? Um,
Oh,
and if I make every single day a great day, I will have a great life. That's my
yeah,
thought.
I love that. I feel like that's what we need. It's and I also think a lot of times I used to consider that one thing to be just strictly work related, but like you had mentioned earlier, that's not it's nothing like
Number
that. That's a
five,
part
man.
of
It's number
yeah,
5.
number 5, exactly. You know, so
Not necessarily in time though. I mean, work does take up the most time
it does
typically, and it's 8 hours a day or something. But if
for
you
now.
always think of it last, like um, if something else, like if one of my kids is going to the ER, that is always a higher priority than
Of
anything I'm
course,
doing work related. So
of course.
decisions like that, or if if my wife wants to talk to me about something, doesn't matter who's waiting on me, like that is more important. Um, Stuff like that.
I will also say I feel like what works well with me is having some sort of seasonality with the things
Yeah,
that I prioritize as well. Like right now, I'm not necessarily in the season of focusing on relationships with
sure.
like my family or friends. I'm very like locked in on the work aspect of things. But then there's other seasons where I think I prioritize the work less and I have something that's already built out. The system's already built out, so I don't have to, maybe I'll stop. I won't be prospecting as much, or maybe I won't. I'll probably continue, doing the 3 times post on LinkedIn, but maybe at some point I'll say, okay, I've gotten to a point where I want to shift priorities a little bit because I don't necessarily need that as much. Um, so I think it comes down to what I think about specifically is like the most exceptional people have to live exceptional lives, right? They have to do something that other people don't do, and the only way that you can kind of be number one, quote unquote. Like if you want to be the Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan in your industry, you kind of have to do exceptional work and you have to do it way more than other people would. So I
Yeah,
feel like having some sort of seasonality because like you can't do all of that and then just completely drop your family and all these and your friends and all these other important aspects of your life. But at the same time, I think you can really shift the priorities in a way that will allow you to focus on the work so that that is a focus for uh, let's say 4 or 6 months or maybe even like 8 months throughout a year and then you shift your priorities back to family and I don't know maybe that's not always the that may not work for everyone but I don't know that's kind of how I think about it and how I structure my life.
yeah. No, Matthew McConaughey has written 2 books, and one of them he talks about that. Basically, he has basically the same priorities. His family, his work, his fitness. And he's like, whenever I'm green in one area, I'm typically in a debit in another area. So, like,
Mhm.
typically when I have a 6 pack, I need to spend more time with my wife, or I'm
Right,
making a ton of money, but haven't been spending any time with my kids. So
right,
he's like, you're constantly calibrating because it's not like you run everything like a tight ship.
of course.
Your attention is always kind of switching between these things.
Mm,
His books are fantastic, by the way. He's a very cool man.
I love that. Yeah, you have some really good book recommendations.
I have all
So
the best books,
bluefish
man.
bluefishing has I broke one of my rules. Like I love I hate to start a book when I haven't finished the prior ones, but
Yeah,
when I started reading Bluefish, I was like, all right, I gotta break the rule just a little bit. I started reading like the first 3 or 4 chapters. And it's like, wow, this guy's different. Steve Sims, R.I.P.
no, and he has another book called the Go for Stupid. The kinds of events that he pulls off for his clients are insane, but it's simply because he tries. Like
Yeah,
you can do crazy things if you try. Um,
and he cares.
yeah, and he cares. No, and so I've started doing like someone will ask me for a favor and or to introduce me or to introduce them to someone. I'm like, why? How does it benefit them? How does it benefit me to introduce you to them? Like, yeah, I want, and that's kind of what the blue fishing is all about. Like, you want to go on stage with a super famous band, like, how's it good for them? Like, you're are you just being selfish, or are you actually, setting up a situation that they care about?
Yeah.
Um, and that's what the whole like go giver mindset is, and giving more value than you're taking, basically.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that there's an important lesson to extract from that that advisors could even take. It's like, how do you identify the true pain points of clients and then actually be able to give them the solution that they actually want, right? They give
Dude,
mindset.
that is such an important conversation.
Yeah,
So, like, the client portals that this industry has, that nobody uses them. Clients don't use them because they're terrible. They don't care
there,
about what's in the client portal. Um,
yeah,
it's like, why don't you actually build a client portal that the client, like 90% of clients are logging into? I think Financial actually is the Tom Fields company, but most of
mhm,
the portals are no good at all. So I think there's just huge opportunities. Another one is like, clients don't actually want financial plans. Like, the industry is trying to sell them things they don't even want. That's why it's so incredibly hard to market financial advice, is because nobody wants it. What people want is an epic life. They want to have a ton of money. They want to spend more time with their kids. That's those. I mean, I think we need to completely shift away from investment management and financial planning and shift to life planning. And I think that the
mm.
whole industry will be so much more fun, and people will live more epic lives, and they'll stop worrying about which stock is going up or down. Like, that stuff doesn't matter at all. Not at all.
Life planning. I kind of like that because when I think of financial planners and their relationship with clients, a lot of times the best relationships are the ones that, the financial planner is really integrated in their client's life and they kind of just know a lot about them and they almost act like a therapist in a sense, like a financial therapist. But
Yeah.
if we're able to, develop that relationship so that they're not just focused on like, hey, this is I mean, I guess the counter argument is they kind of need a plan to follow because if you don't have a plan, then you're kind of just in limbo. But
But a plan
I
that's their plan, not a plan that the industry, like, the plan is like, go to school, go to college, get married, buy a house, be in debt for 30 years, work a job you don't like, save for
yeah,
retirement. The industry has stolen people's lives from them. And the banks and the people trying to sell them cars, like, the whole credit industry is stealing people's lives from them. What
yeah,
life planning is truly about is, what do you actually want to do with your life? And don't wait until you're 65 to
yes,
do it. Do it now. Do it today. Um, and
yeah.
the whole AUM model is on locking people's money away from them until they retire. And I think I think it's stupid. Anyway,
I agree.
that's quite a hot take.
That's another episode.
Probably. We'll get there. It's shocking how many people agree with my crazy ideas, though. Like, in private conversations behind Calendly links is where, like, all the truth is. There's
we
not.
got we, we have to find a way to get those conversations to light. Like
That's exactly what this podcast is.
I love it. I love it. Tune in, guys.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah.
If people want to follow you or work with you or talk to you or pick your brain, where should they go?
Absolutely. Everyone should find me on LinkedIn. My name is Jose, Jose, and my middle initial is M. My last name is Lopes, Lopes. And I drop a link somewhere? Or
There will be a link. Um, I mean, you can message it to me. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want.
okay, yeah, for sure, we'll do that. But yeah, LinkedIn is definitely the spot. That's where I live. It's my home.
Cool. No, LinkedIn is great. Awesome. Well, this has been a really fun conversation. Appreciate you
Absolutely.
coming on.
Appreciate you for
Any
having
last
me.
thoughts?
Last thoughts. Uh, I would say advisors, stay open-minded. I think there's a lot of change that is going to continue to happen this year, and the optimal solution will also change. So be flexible. Don't try to change too much too fast. Use what you have to the best of your advantage and make the most of it, and you'll do great.
Great advice. Cool. All right.
Sweet.
We'll wrap this up then.
For
Thanks, man.
sure.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, Joe. See ya.
Bye.